Residential Appraisal Report Writing and Case Studies, Chapter 1 of Appraising versus Reporting, page 19, Scope of Work. Being familiar with the appraisal process is one of those essential elements in the book of knowledge for appraisers. All appraisers should know that the first step of the appraisal process is to identify or define the problem. That is followed by the determination of the appropriate scope of work. In the past, this second step was called the preliminary survey, but today it has been modernized and is now identified as the scope of work. To further reinforce this change, there is the scope of work rule in the Uniform Standards of Professional Appraisal Practice, USPAP. To determine the appropriate scope of work for the individual assignment, the appraiser must, number one, rely on the information gained in the first step of the appraisal process. Proper identification of the problem is essential. Number two, ensure that he or she has the knowledge, experience, and competency to accomplish this assignment. Number three, determine the client's expectations for this type of assignment. Number four, not allow the assignment conditions to limit his or her ability to arrive at a credible opinion of value given the intended use of the appraisal. Number five, be able to support the decision for the level of work to be accomplished. Number six, be prepared to defend the research and analysis he or she decided was not required for this assignment's credible opinion of value. Communication with the client is vital for gathering all of the necessary information and establishing the parameters for your scope of work. Incorrect or incomplete information provided by the client may lead to problems with the scope of work and may result in the appraiser providing a value opinion that is not credible for the intended use. Example: an attorney engages an appraiser to provide an appraisal on a residential property for estate tax purposes, but fails to provide the appraiser with the correct effective date. The appraiser prepares the appraisal report with a current effective date. However, the effective date should have been June 27th, 2012. Such a miscommunication could mean that the value opinion and report prepared by the appraiser may not be usable. Scope of work is an ongoing process in the assignment. Information or conditions discovered during the course of the assignment may cause the original scope of work to be modified. The appraisal assignment may become more complex than originally contemplated by the client and slash or the appraiser. In those cases, the scope of work will have to be changed, expanded, or modified in order to produce a credible opinion of value for this specific assignment. If competency becomes a problem, be sure to notify your client immediately and take appropriate steps to ensure that you can achieve credible results. Keep in mind, the scope of work is the planning stage of the appraisal assignment. It is your knowledge and experience that will guide you through this step. We will cover scope of work in greater depth in a later chapter. Right now, it's time for another brief quiz. End of page. Page 20. Check your understanding. This quiz has a total of 3 questions. There will be 1 question per page. You must achieve 66% to pass this quiz. Start quiz. Number 1. When a property is appraised with an effective date that is sometime in the future, this is a blank. A hint, it's a noun. A. Retrospective appraisal. B. Prospective appraisal. C. Unacceptable assignment condition. Or D. Violation of USPAP. I'm going to go B. Prospective appraisal. Number 2. The second step in the appraisal process was formally called preliminary survey. What is this step now called? A. Report assignment results. B. Determine scope of work. C. Reconciliation. Or D. Highest and best use analysis. I'm going to go B. Scope of work. And lastly, number 3. What may happen if the client provides the appraiser with incorrect or incomplete property information? A. The appraiser must withdraw from the assignment. B. A hypothetical condition may be necessary in the assignment. C. The appraiser may not be paid. Or D. A non-credible value opinion may result. I'm going to go D. A non-credible value opinion may result. Assessment completed. Finish. You passed. You got 100%. So remember, when a property is appraised with an effective date that is sometime in the future, this is a noun. You said prospective appraisal, and that was correct. Number 2. The second step in the appraisal process was formally called preliminary survey. What is this step now called? You said B. Determine scope of work, and that was correct. Number 3. What may happen if the client provides the appraiser with incorrect or incomplete property information? You said D, a non-credible value opinion may result, and that was correct. Continue. Page 21, planning versus execution. Let's revisit the appraisal process again. The steps include, number 1, identification of the problem. Number 2, determination of the scope of work. Number 3, collection and analysis of the data. Number 4, determination of highest and best use. Number 5, application of the approaches to value. Number 6, reconciliation. And number 7, reporting of the appraisal. We have already covered the first 2 steps in the process. The next 4 steps, steps 3 through 6, involve the development of the appraisal. As we stated previously, development is the work the appraiser does in order to produce a value opinion. Once we determine the scope of work to be employed, we are now moving from the judgment phase or planning phase of the assignment to the execution phase. Once the planning phase has been completed, we can proceed in executing our plan. In step 3, collection and analysis of data, we will gather the necessary data and give consideration to those relevant characteristics that could affect the marketability and/or value of the subject. We are concerned about both general and specific data relating to market trends and which affect the community as well as the subject property. Usually, an inspection of the property is made as part of this step. General data about the community, market area, and neighborhood will relate to the social issues, economic issues, political issues, and environmental issues which may have an effect on the subject's property value. Specific data will relate to the subject property and the comparable sales in the subject market area. Specific data may include physical data, locational data, cost information, as well as income and expense data for the subject and the comparable sales used to perform the appraisal. All of this data must be researched for relevancy, verified for accuracy, and analyzed for reliability by the appraiser. Your analysis and subsequent conclusions are derived from the collected data. With this information, you will now be in a position to develop an opinion of the highest and best use for the subject property, which is the next step in the appraisal process. End of page.